different. I've teamed up with Brendo on this one so we can take you through this vehicle. Brendo, what do we got installed today, mate?
Mate, we've got a brand new model to the range. This is our GT Plus.
It's gonna be one hell of a walk around and some new layout and new design. So make sure you stick around.
Alrighty, so we're going to get stuck into the accessories first of all, up the front of the vehicle as we typically do, starting with the Off-Road Animal Toro bar.
Now this customer's added in the steady STK3 21-inch light bar on the front.
We've also done the core twist like we do with most of our bull bars and put all the colour matched infills into all the grills to give it that flair.
Now moving further back, the customer's done a safari snorkel up the front.
And then on the passenger side here, we've run the GME UHF aerial, so we're running the XRS Connect in the cab and running the 2.1 dBi on an aerial mount up front.
Now this vehicle's had a Tough Dog GVM as well, so which takes it up to 3,500 kilos on the GVM. So new rear leaf pack, new front coils and shocks on the rear and front as well. That GVM side of things, now don't quote me on numbers, but this vehicle complete with the canopy and everything is coming out with over 800 kilos of payload still left to go as a complete vehicle.
800 kilos of payload is probably the minimum you're sort of going to want to allow once you sort of start putting passengers on luggage and all that sort of thing in there. So GVM's a really important topic, and if you don't know what your vehicle weighs, I strongly suggest getting it weighed. Alright, so to support the GVM, we've got the black Rhino wheels with the BF Goodrich tyres underneath as well.
The customer's also added a set of Clearview compact towing mirrors, so anyone who's looking to tow a caravan, even in all honesty, I'd have a set on my car even if I wasn't towing. You do get a lot better vision with a set of Clearviews over a standard factory mirror. So the Clearviews, especially the compacts, they're nice and small and functional, and you get a bigger glass area for reversing and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so up top, once again, we've got our Rhino Rack Pioneer platform with their backbone mounting system as well. Very sort of universal mounting system. You run a channel nut, you can bolt all sorts of things to it, and Rhino Rack offer a heap of accessories for that as well. So,
and even with the turnkey side of things, with majority of the builds that we're doing with stuff like this, the customer, for example, Brendo drops off their brand new car, nothing done to it. If they're coming in for a canopy fitment, that turnkey side of what we do and what we specialise in, it makes it easier for the customer.
100%, yeah. So a lot of us are very time poor. Having the time to take your vehicle from one shop to another to get wheels and tyres done here and a suspension job done here, it just takes too much time. So that's sort of what we like to offer our customers, is a one-stop shop for everything start to finish.
It's a bit of a convenience thing. That's all that, you know, why even if you're getting a canopy done or you're not getting a canopy done, that side of things, whether it's a blackout kit, you know, a 4-inch snorkel, a GVM, wheels and tyres, your roof rack, a canopy, absolutely everything. Yeah. It makes it easier for the customer.
Absolutely, and even if the customer doesn't necessarily know what they want in the initial stages, the quoting stages, you give the boys, myself, and the rest of the sales team a bit of a wish list, and we can go to town and make appropriate suggestions for what's, you know, what sort of four-wheel driving and touring you're going to be doing. So
even on the staging side of things, like we have heaps of customers come in and say, look, this is what I want to do overall, but I want to do it in 2 or 3 stages.
Absolutely.
So the big thing with the sales team that they'll help out a customer with, say, okay, let us know where you want to end up with your vehicle and what you want done overall, so that we can make sure that in stage 1 we set everything up for stage 2 and stage 3.
Absolutely.
Things like suspension, you know, if you're doing a suspension upgrade, and you have a plan in stage 2, for example, to fit a bull bar, getting the suspension set up in the first time so that when you do go and fit that bar, your suspension is then suited and rated to carry a bar and a winch. So that's all the stuff the sales team will help our customers out with. And this is the sort of thing that you come and pick up when it's all done. It's one place, leave your car with us, we can bomb it all out for you, and this is what you get back.
Alright, so on the roof of this canopy we've done one of our solar systems, which we have multiple options across the range.
It's dependent on what the customer's doing. So I guess if the customer's got a rooftop tent, there is a myriad of solar options that we can do, from a single 430 watt panel all the way up to 3 190 panels. It really depends. This customer has our load bar system. So there's basically 3 load bars mounted on the roof of the canopy with 2 Enerdrive 190 watt panels that sit in between the load bars. So the load bar system's kind of cool, isn't it?
Yeah, you can still utilise the roof space for longer lengths of bits and pieces, whether it be swags or timbers or whatever it is that you need.
So with the load bar system, the panels basically sit 6 mil lower than the actual load bar. So you can have something like a kayak on the roof or a length of timber or what have you, and you still won't actually damage the solar panel. So unless that item that you have is going to sag that 6 millimeters over the 600 mil centers of the load bar, you actually can't damage the solar panel. So it means that you end up with a decent solar system on the roof of your canopy, but you can still utilize it for storage and longer items and all that kind of stuff. Solar system, depending on what you're running in your canopy, it's critical.
Yeah, and there's, like I said, hundreds of options and different ways that we can do it. One nifty little feature that we do with our 3 190 watt panels for the Bundu Kings and all that sort of thing is we run an additional solar regulator. So it's an additional 30 amp regulator, so that while you're driving and your DC's pumping out the max it can, you can always make the most of that solar input as well.
Yep. Like my car, I've got the 540 watt system on my Bundu top, so I've got the 30 amp solar reg. I'm running twin batteries in my car, so 400 amps. I have twin charges. So while my car is running and I'm in full sunlight, I'm putting around 110 amps back into my system an hour, which is pretty cool that you can take a 400 amp system from almost flat to fully charged in 4 hours. That makes a big difference. That's all. So on a standard canopy, when you're running the single Enerdrive DC40 charger, you're putting in 40 amps when the vehicle's running. Plus, if you had 2 solar panels, you're going to be putting roughly 20 amps. So you're putting 60 amps back into your system. So that recovery time makes a big difference. And too, if the vehicle's parked up and not running, but you left the fridge on, or you're going away for the weekend, that solar system will keep everything topped up and you don't ever have to worry about having to charge your battery. So before we go through the inside of the canopy and the new GT Plus layout, let's get the most difficult part out of the way. This is the part that I always get wrong in every one of our videos, and I can never get it right. Thank God Brendo's here. If you're enjoying the video, make sure...
Yeah, give us a like, smash that subscribe button, and you hit the bell for notifications on what's happening with Core Offroad.
Let's get stuck into it. Good job, Brendo. So there's a few critical things that we will look at when it comes to canopy design and canopy layout. Now, it's been 3 years since we released a new model. So we've been running our GT, our GTX and our GTU model. So we're going to run you through the first look at the GT Plus model. Then we're going to run through a few fundamentals about what our train of thought is when it comes to designing or constructing a new layout for a canopy. Brendo, let's have a look, mate. So our GT Plus model was derived from our original GT canopy. So the original GT canopy had 1 drawer on this side of the canopy, still had the driver side compartment and the fridge on the other side. What the GT provided was heaps of volume and heaps of storage.
Yeah, the volume and the storage and all that sort of thing is great to have, but let's be honest, it's pretty impractical to have all that height. You end up stacking things and people put tubs and boxes and all that sort of stuff, and it's just unpractical storage.
Yeah, the thing when you're looking at a canopy, even originally my GTX model I had on my 79 series, that height inside the canopy is difficult to utilize the majority of the time, because unless you have something that's 6, 7, 800 mil high, all of your gear, you'll have 250, 300 mil at the top of the canopy that's difficult to try and utilize.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose the storage drawers and all that in this particular model is great for all sorts of bits and pieces like tools and, like say, spare parts, and designed more for the caravanner that's not going to need the full liverboard sort of setup. Just keep the weight down, but also maximise the storage usability.
So with the GT Plus, we've retained the same amount of flat storage area that our GT model originally had, which our customers loved. So somebody, I guess, when you're looking at the customer base that this would suit, is predominantly somebody who's towing. So they still want the safety of having a canopy so they can lock everything up, their equipment's safe. having the access over something like a tub, where you get a hell of a lot more access and a hell of a lot more storage in a canopy. But somebody who's towing a camper trailer or a caravan, by having the new subfloor in the GT Plus, you retain the same storage area, but you end up with 5 massive drawers, 3 on the driver's side and 2 on the passenger side, which we'll get through to very shortly. The other 2 drawers, Brendo, crack one of them open, mate. It's phenomenal how much storage you've actually got in this canopy.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, this compared to our GT model, which just had the one single drawer with the open plan, it's much the same in terms of space, but you get an extra drawers.
Even the layout side of things, I know with kids, you know, with our 2 kids, the amount of kid paraphernalia that you have to take with you, scooters, beach toys, all that kind of stuff to keep them occupied and keep them busy while you're out in the bush. There is a hell of a lot of storage. So even on a weekend, for example, if you wanted to go camping with the boys or you wanted to go camping with the family for the weekend, mate, throw a couple of swags in here or throw them on the roof, throw all your gear in. You've still got the fridge, you've still got a compressor, you've still got a full lithium system, you've still got everything. It's just not designed for that long range touring. If you're planning on spending a week, 2 weeks living out of the car, that's either going to be our GTX model or our GTU. So the new GT Plus has been very popular. This is the first one any of you guys have seen, but there's a hell of a lot more coming through manufacturing. So on the GT Plus model, Brendo, standard features so we can let customers know?
Mate, it's standard across all the range of Phoenix canopies from the GT right through to the GTU model. We run the steady RGB door lights as standard, the internal lights, the C-deck throughout, the central locking to all the whale tail latches on the under tray boxes and the main doors as well.
The GT Plus model still has the ARB twin compressor like the rest of the range. It still has a 9-meter air hose reel like the rest of the range. One main difference with the GT Plus is it comes standard with a 100 amp hour PowerTech lithium battery. So majority of the time with the GT customers, all they're really running is a fridge. So the 100 amp model over the EnerDrive 125. Now you've still got options to upgrade, so we can do an EnerDrive 200 amp in this system along with inverters if the customer wants 240 volt inside their canopy. This customer's actually chosen to go with a custom lithium 280 amp hour system. Bit of extra storage, that's all on the battery side of things. So, but the standard battery is the 100 amp hour PowerTech battery. Much like the rest of the range, access to everything has been all laid out. So your 9-meter air hose reel, which is more than enough to get to your caravan or your camper trailer, plus obviously the vehicle. Switches, we run our interior light switch up here, which is just your driver's side interior light, your air compressor switch, and then we run a dual USB socket and also a 12 volt accessory socket as well. Even like Brendo, that little driver's side compartment, it's handy for all the little bits that don't normally have a home. I know in my canopy, I've got the large one because it's in a US truck, so I've actually got 3 pockets. I love my driver's side compartment. It holds all the little bits and pieces like straps and my tire gauge and all that kind of stuff that kind of you need to access quickly. Yep. But some of that stuff needs to have a home, definitely. I've got my tools and I've got some fishing gear and all sorts in there. So the layout side of things on the driver's side, everything's nice and compact, everything's easy to access, and storage is the main key. Now, one of the biggest things that we get from customers who are coming from a tub setup is the extra storage that you get by having the under tray boxes, and when we move around the back, the trundle drawer. It is a handy space to have and a handy space to use. Absolutely, it can be great for like even just wet things, or like I don't know if you got some dirty muddy shoes, or if you dedicate it to something like that, having that specific space underneath the canopy where it's not going to put mud and dirt and all that throughout your canopy, it's awesome. So yeah, and the under tray boxes, we've got the fixed gas option if customers do want to go with that. As everything else on the range is standard, so central locking to the under tray boxes and the trundle drawer when we get around the back of it makes a hell of a difference. One click and everything is locked. So I think we should start moving our way around. We'll go through some of the other standard features at the back of the canopy, plus what this customer's also added on. So moving around to the back of the vehicle, the standard features, I guess, for the Phoenix range.
Yes.
Brendo at the back.
So Trundle Drawer across the range.
Yep.
One thing that's not standard, which is a very popular upgrade, is of course the Trundle Drawer lid. Now, great option to put Weber cues or just even a big workbench. So we run a couple of gas struts to still give you a nice deep and long trundle drawer for heaps of storage.
Just creates more surface area.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
one thing that you can't, I guess, have enough of, is flat surface. It is a very popular option. The trundle drawer itself does provide heaps of storage.
Yeah. What do you put in your trundle drawer, for instance, Jimmy?
Everything, mate.
Don't want to look in
Everything.
there.
No. Mine's chockers, but I've got tools in there. I've got my car being a little bit higher. I've got a step for Jodie so she can actually close the canopy door. So, but heaps of stuff. I've got my little hose in there. Absolutely everything. The trundle drawer really is handy, and especially someone who's come from a ute or a dual cab with a tub on it, then they get a trundle drawer and 2 under tray boxes. Customers seem to think I don't know how I survived without it, now that they have one. That's also, it does make a hell of a difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other standard features on the back now, trundle drawer is centrally locked as well. That's one thing across the range. Each one has central locking to the trundle drawer, which is one feature that not a lot of other people actually offer. Tail lights. So the maxi lamps on the back by LED auto lamps is...
We run a 2 tail stop lamps on the outer side, and then there's the reverse on the inner. That's standard across the range. Also on the rear clip, if the vehicle's got rear parking sensors, we integrate those into the rear clip as well, and the factory camera gets relocated just up underneath as well. So
on the camera side of things, we now have an option with Safety Dave that customers can choose early on in the build. The camera is slightly different to this one, isn't it, Brendo?
it is. So we're now running a twin camera, so a 2-feed camera. One's going to give you sort of a wide sort of view for those full-time rear-facing shots in the cab, and the other's going to be a narrow view, which is going to be for backing up to trailers and all that sort of thing, to give you a good height to see what you're doing. That's all.
So we wanted to try and standardise it so that we basically have one camera that the team in manufacturing, they fit the same camera every time. So we thought, all right, the biggest camera you can get is one with 2 lenses in it, so let's run with that one. Whether the customer uses 2 or not is up to them, but the rear Safety Dave camera is an option that you can add to your build moving forward. Now, integration of that goes to...
Yep, so we run a over mirror, because practically once you put a canopy on any vehicle, that rear view mirror is impractical. So we run the over mirror monitor, which is a 2-channel, which allows you to flick between the 2 with a push of a button.
Yep, definitely. The rear camera does make a difference. The factory one integrated underneath is fine for reversing, or if you're hooking on a trailer or something like that, but the camera being up high definitely is an advantage, that's all.
Absolutely.
That's kind of it for standard features. Obviously the GT Plus doesn't have a water pump, so it does come with 1 gravity and fill tap underneath the back of the canopy. It is an option, you can add a water pump to the GT Plus range. Standard items get reintegrated, obviously tow bar and number plate bracket and all that kind of stuff. I guess rear wall accessories we could touch on.
So one thing, once again, across the range of Phoenix canopies is the rear work lights here. So we use 2 steady 7.8-inch micro LEDs with our core housing as well. So standard feature across the range and real practical work light for the rear as well.
Yeah, definitely. And other options that customers may add, we've got our Nomad ladder. We've got our V1 ladder, which was the original version that we did. Plus we've also got tyre carriers, dirty gear bags that customers can option up to fit onto the back. Couple of little snags, obviously, with some of the ladders integrating the camera, but that's the kind of stuff that the sales team will guide you through and come up with a workaround for you, that's all. Let's keep moving around.
All right, so around the passenger side of the vehicle now, another standard feature across the range is, of course, the Bushwhacker 270-degree awning.
Now, 270 on a car, especially as a touring platform, is probably going to be one of the most things that you actually use.
Absolutely, and the fact that they're that easy to open up and set up and all that sort of thing makes it that much easier to use.
So the Bushwhacker awnings, they're self-supporting, so no legs to drop down. Even when you are setting the awning up, it will support itself with the arms, so it's literally drop it out, roll the arms out, hook it up to the roof rack. I know with mine, we did a 6-week trip earlier in the year. I think I put the leg down once for one night.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was much the same with my bushwhacker awning as well. I put the leg down once because it was quite windy on the beach, but being so easy to pack down, if it gets too blowy, you just close it back up. So.
And the integration of the lights and that in them.
Yeah,
that's all.
We got 4 now, 4 LED strips, which are a white or amber, switched inside, which we'll show you in a minute once we open her up. But they're all standard feature on the bushwhacker awning as well.
Definitely something that you wouldn't go without on your touring vehicle, for sure. Right, so moving around onto the passenger side of the GT Plus. There's a fair few standard options in here that carry across from some of the other models. So the GT Plus comes with Dometic's CRX 80, upright fridge as standard.
Yeah, then we run our 80 litre Dometic through the fuse switch panel here, so we run all resettable fuses up top. We run our EnerDrive ePro battery monitor, and then of course all of our switches here for our interior lights, rear facing work lights, our party lights and the doors, awning lights, and also a couple of dual USBs as well. So
it makes it easy to access everything. Yeah. With that switch panel, it's not like, you know, your switches are tucked in and around the corner. Everything's in front of you, especially with the EnerDrive ePro. Everything's in front and easy to access. On the GT Plus side of things, you then get the addition of 2 drawers on this side, which will basically marry up to the back side of the other drawers on the driver's side of the canopy. One option that isn't, or one item that isn't standard on this canopy, but it is an option, is to add stainless steel prep bench, which is very similar to our GTX model.
Yeah, looks the same. So a small little surface area, once again, just to put bits and pieces on, make lunch and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, like Jimmy said, not a standard feature on the GT Plus model. This is an upgrade. So if you do want this, make sure you have a chat to your sales team. Yeah,
it's pretty handy. Like if you are traveling around, we've got to remember this canopy model is designed for someone who's towing a caravan or a camper trailer. So the whole thing, even with the fridge, if you are heading into town from camp and you're going to get some more food or some water, or if you're out exploring for the day, sightseeing and all that kind of stuff, you've got the fridge there to put some lunch and a few drinks and that in. The little prep bench, probably a pretty good upgrade. That's all, so you can make a few sangers or stuff like that on the road. In relation to upgrades for the fridge, so what we call a standard canopy, being Ranger, HILUX, D-Max, Mazda BT50, we can go up to a 110 litre fridge. Then when we go to what we call a large canopy, which is going to be 79 series, Ram, 1500, 2500, F trucks, all that kind of stuff, we can go up to a maximum of their Dometic's 140 litre fridge. That's also, but standard for the GT Plus is the CRX 80. Even on the storage side for this thing, I know if this was my canopy, I'd have some plates and bowls and cups and...
Yeah, you'd have all sorts of bits and pieces. Like I said, we've got heaps of storage on the other side with the GT Plus for all bits, whether it's tools and recovery gear and all that sort of stuff. In this side, you could, plates, cups, camp ovens, food, anything. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So GT Plus, in our eyes, it's a winner. That's all. It's definitely well suited to the correct type of person, whether they're towing, and obviously keeps the weight down as well without having all the extra fit out and all the extra gear that a lot of our customers may not need, depending on what they're planning on doing.
Absolutely.
So that's GT Plus on the passenger side. All right, legends, so I hope you enjoyed the video about the layout of the new GT Plus model. Now, Brendo, from this point, how do customers get in contact with us?
Mate, there's a few ways. First of all, jump onto the website at www.coreoffroad.com.au. On the website as well, you'll find a list of standard features and a whole heap of information on all of our builds. Otherwise, you can flick us through an email or pick up the blower and give us a call.
Now, Brendo's on the front counter as a part of the Canopy sales team, so you can ring up, ask for Brendo. You might think he knows what he's talking about. Brendo's across the Canopy side of things. So if you've got any questions, make sure, pick up the phone, have a chat to the team, pricing, any other details, what options you're looking for. So look, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the dynamic with me and Brendo teaming up for this one. Make sure if you're looking for more build videos, they're up here, and more build videos on HILUXes down here. Legends, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch up with you next time.